Google found out and there was a conflict of interest, and so I got fired. And that was devastating at the time, but kind of forced me to go all in on this agency. It's been a lot of fun. So I started 9 years ago. It's a digital marketing agency headquartered in Philadelphia. Got clients and teammates across the country, and got 2 other businesses I'm a part of, but momentum's my main thing. Probably one of the bigger agencies in the city, focused on a lot of things Google related, just given my background. And yeah, just wake up every day loving what I do. Every day is different, every day is unique, and I get to help a lot of small business owners grow online.
This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fully Managed by Penji podcast, the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you in your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's partnership coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Frederick, founder and CEO of Momentum Digital. Thank you so much for coming on with me today. I'm very excited to, see you on a podcast with Penji again.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon. I appreciate you having me. I've been looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So if you could just start out by telling us a little bit about yourself, you and your work, and kind of like your journey up until now.
Yeah, sure. I'll give you a quick breakdown. So grew up in Pennsylvania, went to Penn State, kind of studied business, advertising, marketing, got into entrepreneurship and some startups, got recruited by Google, and went to work for Google for about 1.5 years, and then kind of started my own agency on the side. Which was funny because Google found out and there was a conflict of interest, and so I got fired. And that was devastating at the time, but it kind of forced me to go all in on this agency. And it's been a lot of fun. So I started 9 years ago. It's a digital marketing agency based, headquartered in Philadelphia. We've got clients and teammates across the country, and I've got 2 other businesses I'm a part of, but momentum's my main thing. Probably one of the bigger agencies in the city. We focus on a lot of things Google related, just given my background. And just wake up every day loving what I do. Every day is different, every day is unique, and I get to help a lot of small business owners grow online.
That's incredible. I appreciate everyone that's helping the small businesses. They definitely need a lot of things the most, and it's really nice to have support when you're starting out too.
Absolutely. It's a blessing and a curse being a small business, just because you've got to wear so many different hats and learn and know how to do so many different things, and that's a lot of long days, putting in so many hours just to try to make ends meet. Most businesses don't make it to the 5-year mark. I think it's like 90% of businesses fail in the first 10 years. And marketing is a big struggle for a lot of businesses, just getting new customers, getting the word out there. So, we like to have flexible pricing and kind of low pricing options for some of those small businesses. But at the end of the day, you can't help everybody, but we try our best to help the small businesses, at least within like the greater Philadelphia region.
Yeah, that's really, really nice. There is a lot of small businesses in Philadelphia, and it's really nice to get the marketing that you need. I've worked for several of them throughout college and different things like that, and marketing is definitely a struggle. A lot of people, especially even small businesses that have been there for a while, sometimes you get like 25 years in and people don't really understand like the backstory of why you're so good, and people stop coming, and you need something different.
Yeah, one book I wish I read before starting my company is because I also own like a cell phone and computer electronics repair store with 4 retail locations in the city. And, that's been really tough, a lot of ups and downs. And I probably learned more about business from that company than I have the marketing agency. But one book I do recommend small business owners read before starting a business is The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. It basically explains how most small business owners start their company. And it's because they were really good at something. The example they give in the book is, someone who's great at baking cakes. It's like, oh, she makes the best cakes and her friends and her family are always buying her cakes, or like, she's making them for parties and they tell her you should start a business because you're great at making cakes. So then she saves up money and she takes out a loan and she's got to find a retail store and deal with a lease and utilities, the bank. Then she's got to hire employees and worry about HR. She's got to worry about marketing and advertising and supplies and inventory and cleaning. She ends up working 14 hours a day, 7 days a week to barely make ends meet. And so one of the things you learn from that is like, how to be the technician, but also how to be the manager, but also how to be the boss and the entrepreneur, because it's really 3 different positions that each is necessary in its own regard. And a lot of people just aren't cut out for it. And they realize at the end of the day, they're unhappy. They're happier before just making cakes and having a job somewhere else. So that's a great book that I suggest a lot of people read.
I definitely agree that people need to come to terms with that reality, because you can love doing something, but it kind of takes the joy out of it by having to go through so much to be able to make it profitable.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also think, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to say, that's literally how most, over 90% of businesses, at least in America, are small businesses. It's kind of the backbone of the country. It's the American dream, so you may call it. And a lot of those businesses are founded on the principles of it's somebody that's very good at a specific trade, whether it's, house cleaning, plumbing, HVAC, roofing. There's so many different blue collar types of service businesses. But most businesses in that regard, they either had a job doing something like that before, or they're a hobbyist or a trade skills technician. And then they ended up starting the business and realized running the business is a lot harder than just doing the work.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's a lot easier to implement something like that if you have some kind of background in something that would be that would be very difficult for the average person. Like an accounting background, something like to be able to bookkeep yourself so you don't have to hire someone to do it and spend more money doing that. But I think that even if you have a background in one of those things, it's definitely helpful. But again, if you don't have the time to do all of these different things yourself, or the money to get someone else to do them, it's very difficult.
Yeah, and there's 2 sides of every business. There's the customer side, so that's sales, advertising, marketing, customer service, and like just bringing in the revenue. And then there's the operations and production side, which is like doing the job, providing the service or the goods or whatever the case might be. And it's tough to get that right, but I think one thing a lot of businesses struggle with is the marketing side of it, because it's not something they really thought about going into it, and how important and how expensive it can be. So I think having started multiple businesses of my own now, a lot of what I've learned is through failure and trial and error, and just like, it's like, oh, like I've never had to read and deal with a commercial lease before, or commercial insurance, or, liabilities and taxes and all this stuff. And it piles up. And if you don't know or can't learn these things, I mean, there's a good chance you won't stay in business.
Yeah, it's trial and error is a nice way to learn, unless it gets you involved in something illegally. I think I always get concerned about something like that. If I would ever to start my business, I think that would be the foundation of something that I'd need to learn, because I don't know, I always think about any business that's related to food. And
Are you a big foodie?
I'm a huge foodie, and I always think about pickling, and how A lot. I have a brother-in-law who is so good at pickling. Everything that he makes is so good. But we always tell him like the same thing. You should start your business or whatever. Because everyone would love this. Like anyone he gives them for Christmas presents, like giant jars because they're so good. Everyone loves them, but pickling is a dangerous business to get involved in because you can give someone botulism, which is like the worst foodborne illness that you could ever have. Um, and it's something that is like you could just do one thing wrong because if you don't have a streamlined process and you're all doing it yourself. And I just worry about little things like that of like you could just do something a little bit different related to food and you could get yourself in a lot of trouble and hurt someone in the process, and that's terrifying.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, it's much worse if like you have like a proper registered business and it's a new customer that's never heard of you before. As opposed to like someone who's like friends or family or somebody that would understand if you make a mistake or give them a bad product and service because they're not going to chastise you or try to sue you or write you a bad review. It's like I have a friend back home. I'm from the country, like grew up in like, woods and farmland, like South Central Pennsylvania, where there's a lot of hunters and farmers. And so a lot of my like, I guess, friends and family friends grew up hunting, deer, stuff like that. And this one guy I know, he basically makes beef jerky. He makes jerky and deer jerky, a lot of deer jerky and deer bologna, and just gets all his clients, and it's like a hobby. So he gets his clients through like friends, family, referrals, like networking, but like doesn't want to turn it into a proper business because you have all these other aspects of business and the liabilities and everything involved. So it's like a lot of people, when they come to me with a business idea, I try to talk them out of it. I try to talk them out of starting a business.
I think that's really important. I have actually talked to a lot of PR firms that talk people out of doing things a lot because it's sometimes you want the business, but if it's not going to be a good idea for either of you, sometimes you need to say no.
Yeah, and if you start a business, the best way is just to slow roll it, as I say, and bootstrap it. So basically just don't get your head underwater with like a lot of debt and liabilities and just BS that you gotta deal with. Just take it one step at a time and keep learning and growing. Like that's what I did with my businesses, is like minimize the overhead and and expenses. So start out working remote and doing online, and then going on site, and then getting an office, and then from an office to a storefront, and then multiple storefronts. At one point for the marketing agency, we had a big dedicated office and employees in there. And I was like, this is just too much overhead. And like, I don't want to come to work every day myself. Like, why would I want other people to have to do that stuff? Like, nobody probably enjoys going to work every single day and seeing the same people and the same conversations. So, for our marketing agency, we're essentially all remote now. Like, we have a very small office in like a co-working space where just like the partners will hang out. But other than that, like our entire team's remote. And this is like since before COVID, before everybody else started doing it. And, we're really big, at least with our marketing agency, on like work-life balance. So, nobody has a 9 to 5. Like we don't really tell people when to work or where to work or what to wear or really even what to do for that matter. The end goal is like kind of just like building a bigger team of like culture and influence and people that enjoy providing the services that they're good at for the types of clients that we work with, and holding themselves accountable and responsible instead of like the top-down operations approach, which I think is a little outdated and broken for a lot of industries.
I definitely resonate with that. I think that a lot of people are, and I hope that this becomes a bigger and more widely accepted thing in the future, but work-life balance is really important, and people have things to do that are outside of work, and being understanding of that is super important. As long as you're getting the work done, what does it matter when you're doing it? Or as long as it's getting done before, if there's a deadline or something like that, of course. But things happen, people have lives, and I think it's really important to consider that we're all human beings and we're not worker bees.
Yeah. I mean, especially with people that still don't even have it figured out, like, and that's fine if you don't have it figured out, like what you want to do and like where you want to live and like what kind of life you want to have. There's even people my age, like, I'm 34 now. There's people older than me too that still have a job they don't like or don't know what they want to do. And honestly, like, that's fine. You should earlier in your career try multiple things, like whether you can shadow people at their job or get internships, get part-time jobs, just try different things and just stay learning, like be curious. It's like Steve Jobs says, be foolish, like try new things. And today it's so much easier because you can almost just learn about these other occupations and opportunities through YouTube videos or documentaries or whatever the case might be. But just testing it, like the work-life balance is hugely important for people that don't know what they want to do, but they do have a job. So it's like you have this mundane job or this job you don't like, and you're doing it to pay bills and make ends meet. So those people are, very much concerned about that work-life balance so they can actually spend the other however many hours per week doing what they want to do, whether it's like hiking or sports or fitness, whatever.
Yeah, I think that it's really important to kind of get out of your head and be able to keep learning throughout life, because like you can even find something that you really like doing and then 5 years or 10 years down the line you don't anymore, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that marketing is a really important field to continue to learn and grow in, because the world is constantly changing. The marketing world is constantly changing, and there's things that you always need to learn. I think that it's not just it doesn't have confines. Like there's always, I've talked to marketers that get influence from popular celebrities. Like they see a celebrity get fame kind of, it's seemingly out of nowhere, and they kind of look at that as inspiration for their marketing, in the fact that, oh, how did this happen? Like how can I implement something like this in my day? And it like could have seemingly nothing to do with what they're doing, but that's learning, and that's like really important.
So I think it was like a week or two ago, I gave a presentation about like Google and artificial intelligence and like the history and future of Google's AI, their products and services related to AI. And, they're working AI into a lot of things. And the reason I bring that up is because I've had the opportunity to present to students, but also faculty and professors, educators, but mostly students. Like, I've given talks at Temple University, at Penn State, at Drexel, mostly to marketing classes or certain marketing associations and clubs. And the one thing that I bring up a lot, which I probably shouldn't, is like, I don't think you need to go to college to get into marketing. Like, I'm sorry, the world's changed a lot in the past 10 years. But for me personally, I didn't really learn anything in college other than what I wanted to learn. So I think it's important that people focus on what they want to learn and why they want to learn it, and then proactively involve themselves with it. So one thing that I've always been big on is skilled trades and trade schools. Like, you learn how to be a plumber, do electricity or construction, or, the sciences. Like if you want to go to, undergrad and post-grad, make sure it's for something that you actually need and get like a license and certification for. But for marketing, they teach you all this like generic stuff that was still taught in like the 80s, like traditional media and radio and print and TV and billboard and like target markets and the 3 pillars of marketing and like all these things. But at the end of the day, it's like you could go take a class on like in YouTube. There's classes on social media now. Like you can learn anything online for free that's going to be a lot more valuable than what you'll learn in some like introduction to marketing class, like 101 in college, where you're just like putting together a project and doing group work and like nothing that really matters. There's only one class. I guess there's like 2 classes that might stand out to me that were outside of entrepreneurship. I took entrepreneurship classes, which is kind of like almost like an oxymoron. but there were 2 classes that were like relevant and practical that I took in college, and one was computer science, and then the other was Google Ads. And those are where you're actually like applying what you're learning instead of like theoretical or like something that's not practical. So, I mean, if anybody's watching this and they're thinking about going to college, they're in college, they're out of college, it's like, I think as a human being, you're more capable and interested and, willing to learn on something that's like more interesting to you that you don't have to pay a lot of time or spend a lot of money doing. And so, swear to God, like 90% or more of the things that I do and have learned are from YouTube. Exactly.
Yep. No, I also think in the same vice that you can go to college for something completely unrelated to what you do I know too many people that, or not too many people, I think it's fine, but so many people that went to college for something wildly different than what they ended up doing, and they like what they do. They just didn't go to college for it. Like, I went to school for political science and I loved it. I loved my major, but it made me not want to get involved in politics ever in my life, ever.
Right.
And it was fantastic. I learned a lot and I still have that in there, but it's not. Now I'm in marketing and I like this too. And there's skills that you can also learn from undergrad that is seemingly in a completely unrelated major, but that do go into your job in the future. Like, I had to do a lot of debating and talking to people about difficult topics, and I feel like marketing does that. Like, maybe not debating. I'm not really debating people often, happily, but
I mean, there's so many people I know too that have graduated and that are doing nothing related to their major, and you're in debt, you're paying back your student loans for life maybe at this point, and you're a bartender or you're working at a restaurant, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you enjoy doing that, or if you're just trying to make ends meet while you're figuring it out. It just goes back to that point where it's like, testing and trying new things and learning new things on your own time and on your own dollar at a younger age are just, hugely important to like your track record and your growth and opportunities. And so, in college, one thing that I did that I recommend people do as well is I was just very and overly involved in a lot of clubs and organizations and like starting businesses and meeting new people. And there wasn't much downtime for me, and there still isn't in my life. I think I'm just like wired kind of like that. I'm trying to get more hobbies. Like I'm reading and like working out and playing soccer and stuff, but I don't have a ton of downtime, and that's par for the course for entrepreneurship. But yeah, like getting involved, trying new things, being active, like before, during, and after college, like those are the years that are most important to your life that you can never get back, and they'll set you up with a good foundation for the rest of your life.
I would push back on that, actually. I think that I'm the same way as you. I have always been involved in probably way too many things because I like to keep busy, but sometimes I think back to time where I was able to have downtime and wasn't using it to do nothing. And sometimes I think, it would be really nice to do nothing. But now, I'm an adult and I can't do nothing. I have to be doing things in my downtime. And, I would push back and I would say, you guys should relax. Just like a little bit.
Well, I guess it all comes back to like, what do you want out of life? If you want more of that balance, like I'm not huge. I've never been huge on balance as opposed to other people, but it just depends if you want to be able to do more, to be able to have more resources, or do you want to have more time? I mean, time's huge to have time for yourself and other things you want to do. I mean, some people are fine just like living by the beach and like being a bartender and just like enjoying that slower lifestyle. That sounds great to me. I just never took that path.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely understand. I think it depends on the type of person too, because I would love to have downtime, but if I sit there and do nothing, I feel unfulfilled. I feel like
Yeah.
I need to be doing something with my time right now.
I'm being so lazy, and I get that from my parents. Like, I've never there's probably like 2 or 3 times in my life that I've actually seen my dad watch a whole movie. He'll get up like 10 minutes in and like go cut firewood outside, or like go work on something in the garage. I'm like, this is a good movie. I like this. Like, that, I think that's one thing I do with my free time is I do like shows and movies. I always have.
It's important to have hobbies that involve relaxing.
Yeah.
Like, you can be doing something, but it should be not stressful for you, I think. And that's something that's important for work-life balance.
It's funny, like when I first started my companies, it's like I had a chip on my shoulder when I moved here in like 2015, 2016. After getting fired by Google, and I was like really down, like kind of depressed, but I had like a chip on my shoulder, like felt like I had something to prove, like my back was against the wall, and was embarrassed about the situation. So it's like, if anybody's ever been fired, I mean, use that as inspiration, use it as a learning lesson, and so I was like, I gotta show that I'm capable of more and can achieve more, for better or worse too, because I was working, I don't know, like from 8 a.m. to midnight, almost every day for the first 2 years. I would occasionally take some time off, but I don't recommend people take that path, but sometimes you have to, depending on like where you want to go. And it's just like looking back on it, I was making okay money, but compared to now, like I'm making a lot more money now with a lot less time. But I think that's pretty normal. Like when starting businesses, is like you do need to reinvest time and money into the business if you want to see it grow, unless you want to take out debt or like get investors or something.
No, yeah, it's you're working toward you. I think that's the hope for everyone, is that they're working towards being able to take their hands off, a little bit, and be able to do a little, not to have to wear as many hats. Maybe to wear one hat, CEO hat, founder hat. You still have to, it's yours, and you probably, you want everything to be working well. So of course you're probably, sticking your hands in everything. But you also have to be able to trust people, and that like they can do good work, and like everyone involved can do it on their own, because you kind of set them up for that.
And that's one thing I've had to get better with over time. There's been like personal growth that I've had from being a business owner and entrepreneur, and trust has been one of them, and delegation has been one. Emotional intelligence, empathy, those have been big. I used to just like quickly and emotionally react, which is common. I mean, people do it all the time. But if you're in like a Slack or like some sort of like group message, and like you emotionally react in like a negative way, it can have a bad culture impact across various people. So I thought I'd never call people out in like a public space anymore. I think something else that's like not talked about much in entrepreneurship and like business ownership is like, stress, anxiety, and depression, which is common because people don't like to talk about it. People want to put on like a front or fake how they're actually feeling about a situation. When I know, and I've had many clients that are like stressed and anxious and depressed because it's not going as expected. Like they had this big dream of like being a business owner and being successful and making a lot of money. It goes back to what I said earlier about like, it's usually not like that. Like most of us fail. And I think one of the reasons behind that is just expectations, which if you want to get like kind of theoretical when it comes to happiness, a lot of people refer to that as the difference between expectations and reality. With anything, with a relationship, with a trip, with whatever it is, it's not meeting your expectations. You might be a little upset about that. So for business, if you expect to go much better and it's really not, and you're putting in all these hours just to like scrape by or like lose money, yeah, it can cause sadness, anxiety, and depression. But you usually only see that if you're not getting the expectations that you're aiming for. So I think that's something that should be more talked about.
I definitely think it's something that should be more talked about. I agree that a lot of people like to put on a front, and of course, maybe putting on a front is good for business, quote unquote.
Right, yeah.
People don't want to see you doing, poorly, because then they're, maybe they're less inclined to use you or your services or your product or whatever it might be. But it's
Post it on your business social channels, maybe.
I'm so upset right now, and
I'm depressed for failing.
I can remember following this guy who owned like a small business in Maine. I think it was a dispensary or something like that. And I remember he posted a picture of him crying. And I was like, I feel bad for this man, but I don't know what he gets from this. Transparency is very important, but I'm sure, being realistic. I mean, like, I did feel bad for him. I was like, I should give this man my business. I feel bad for him. He needs it. And maybe that's maybe that's also a tactic or something. We should talk about that in marketing. Making people feel that.
A lot of like my case studies for marketing can come from my other business, like the phone and electronics, like retail stores. But also people are always so curious, like what's going on with my life, because on my personal social channels, I've had a lot of stories on a lot of posts and videos talking about my experiences with those phone stores, because they've been broken into many times.
It's Philadelphia, right?
Yeah. We've had snatch and grabs. We've had fraud. I've been held up at gunpoint. We've had knives pulled on us. I've had employees steal from us. I've had my partner steal from me. I've had to chase customers down on the street. Like, it's been crazy. I've had so many stories, and I'm not posting them on the business social channels. But yeah, these are things that like people don't really realize business can be about, which is nuts. Maybe I'll write a book one day.
Yeah, no, owning a business in Philadelphia is something else. I always look back. I try to look back on them fondly, but it was something else. Have you ever been to Lorenzo and Sons on South Street? Like the gigantic pizza place.
Yeah.
I worked there in college for 2 years, and I don't think that I've seen more chaotic and insane things than working there. It's very... Philadelphia's another kind of place to own a business.
Especially if it's like a retail, like if you're dealing with like customers and like in-person stuff, it's nuts. It's so nuts. I wouldn't recommend it. Sorry, Philly, but maybe we got to do something about that.
If Wawa is closing sometimes, like maybe, it's hard at small business to subsidize these things.
You ever seen videos where people are like walking into Wawas or places like that and just like filling stuff in their book bags and then walking out?
Yeah, it's like what? It's a culture. Yes. But there's no place like Philly. Whether that's good or bad is up to the person living here.
Got its charm in some ways. Some things about the city. Every city's got its own things going on, I bet.
Yeah, exactly. There's great things about Philly, and there's other things. And that's important.
Yeah, I mean, for our marketing agency, Momentum Digital, if anybody wants to look it up, we're going to put more information out there about kind of our business model, which is we bring on specialists, and none of them are like salaried full-time employees. They're all freelance specialists that are, essentially running their own freelance agency, but they're working with us as a partner. So let's say you're really good at web design or social media management, and you want to have your own book of business, your own clientele, you're a freelancer, but you can't get clients. It's the hardest thing for any business is to get clients and get customers and market yourself. And so we get all the business, and then we partner up with vetted freelancers that are specialists in whatever that skill set is, and we help them build their book of business with our clients. And so we partner on the projects, and we all have skin in the game to have the best success in relationships with our clients together. And, it just allows you to focus on what you do best without have to worrying about getting clients or have to worry about like the boring 9-to-5 type of marketing jobs that are out there. And so, it's kind of like, imagine real estate brokerages. It's like you hang your hat as a real estate agent with a brokerage, and you have to go through some training and certifications, but then you get clients from the brokerage, but then you can also get your own clients too. So it's a similar model to that, or how some insurance brokerages work and whatnot. But that's what we're building here at Momentum, and we've been doing that model for the past 4 or 5 years now, and things are going really well. We work with hundreds of small businesses across the country. A lot of them are regional to Philly. But we're getting into the growth stage where we're going to put more time and money into advertising and marketing, because for now it's all come from networking and word of mouth and referrals and SEO and social media and things like that.
So I know we're a little over time. I don't know if you have time, but I have one last question for you.
That's why I wanted to drop that real quick.
No, that's good. Thank you. That's important. Sometimes I get off track a little. Okay. So this was something that I thought was so interesting, because I don't see this very often. What is your strategy for maintaining a 5-star rating on Google? Because I literally never see this. I see 4.98, 4.7. I'm sure you're gonna say good work, which is good, yes, but
well, there's a lot of things I could answer for that. If you check my phone repair stores, none of them have a 5.0, but they've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reviews. So if you have a very transactional business and a lot of customers, and especially if it's a retail or storefront, like a pizza shop or whatever, you're gonna get bad reviews. 100% chance you're gonna get bad reviews. You can't make 100% of people happy 100% of the time. It's impossible. But for our agency, I think we have a 5.0 rating. At the off chance that we would get a bad review, it's our goal to maintain a very high rating. So we would reach out to them and find out what their experience was, offer to resolve it in whatever way, so they would change the review or remove it. I think maybe we've only ever had one review that wasn't a 5-star, but I also actually don't even recommend having a 5.0 rating, as crazy as that sounds.
It's hard to maintain, because once you get one bad one, then it changes.
No, more so for the fact of, it almost seems like, why would you not always have a 5.0 experience? It seems too good to be true. It's just a little fishy. So maybe I'll just have my next customer write me a 4-star review.
Hey, even if you really like this, can you just lower your rating just a little bit so that I seem realistic?
Yeah. But for anybody watching, make Google reviews. I mean, Google should be the main platform you want to focus on for reviews, in most businesses and industries. And getting those reviews and responding to the reviews and prioritizing that Google business profile, it is the number one catalyst to getting new customers and getting more traffic and visibility and revenues and profits, because it's free marketing, it's free awareness, and those reviews and optimizing and managing those profiles is going to have you outrank your competition, get those phone calls, get people showing up at your stores. For our 5.0 rating, it's all a manual approach. People aren't proactively going to our Google page and trying to find us and write us reviews. It's more of a traditional service business. So we proactively, hey, would you mind leaving us a review here, saying something about what we did? So that would be my answer to your question.
Okay, so asking them on the spot, I think when they're happy, it's a better way of getting a review than asking them a week later, or not asking them at all. They have more time to think. Kidding. But all right, okay, well, that is all the time we have today. We're already over time, but I really, really appreciate you coming on today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name's Frederick, founder and CEO of Momentum Digital. Also in Phone Repair Philly and a partner in Philly IB Lounge. You can find me, just Google my name, Mac Frederick. Check us out, Momentum Digital, needmomentum.com. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff.
Thank you. And everyone at home, don't forget to like and subscribe to see more professionals like Mac on the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Shannon.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.